Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down.
What's up, guys? This is Nick Vitus with the Bice Garage Auto Blog. We're talking about T-Birds. Who knew? So we're talking about T-Birds, but basically today's theme, which is really, I want to talk about cars and when should you restore them, when should you part them out, when would they be a good project, and all of those factors depend on you and your best judgment, what you want to tackle. But we, just kind of open up the subject a little bit and tackle a little bit. And for all you guys that have shops out there, I really want your opinion on this. There's a lot of cars out there that need saved. And there's a lot of cars that sadly are already kind of smoked, So, when it comes to when should you restore a car, it really, if there's no emotional attachment to it, it really comes down to monetary value, right? And so if it's monetary value, that's a pretty easy not easy calculation, but it's a calculation you could use to say, you could estimate, hey, it's going to take this much for the body, it's going to take this much for the paint, it's going to take this much for the interior, this much for a rebuilt engine, or, you can kind of piece that together and make a pretty educated guess on what that car is going to take. Now, in the case of a T-Bird, you really need to value that car and see, is it going to be worth what I'm putting into it? If you talk to most guys that restore cars, they'll almost always tell you, like, if you restore a car, you're not going to make money. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think if you're a shop that rebuilds them for someone else, obviously you're going to make money. And that's all good news, and that's fair and right, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think it's hard to turn a profit on that stuff unless you've really got certain things dialed. If someone else has an opinion, by all means, I'm all ears. I think it becomes expensive fast. And if you want to do the car right, it becomes expensive fast. Now, to put original parts on a car, that also is a lot of times expensive. Like some of the 65 through 66 T-Birds, when we've had door panels to replace and I found them for $800, I've wondered, am I going to get hosed? That doesn't even feel right. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you have to look at, like, even the original parts are more expensive than customized aftermarket parts. And sometimes there's a middle ground, like we're here in Tucson. You want to go find a upholstery shop on the corner that's going to redo the upholstery in your car, and it's not going to be original, but it's going to be something that someone else stitched up. You can do it. It's probably going to save you a lot of money. It's probably going to be a lot better product in some ways. But if you want original or you want to customize, like high-end build, you're really going to get, it's going to get expensive. I think sometimes a guy can get lucky and find a car that's all original. It's a survivor car. Maybe they don't pay a grip for it. Maybe it came from some scenario, an old lady's last car, or I don't know, something, like you can find those cars, and those are probably big money cars. That's the way I've always kind of thought about it. My T-Bird on this side, Ghost, I paid on the high side of fair for it. I did not get some screaming deal on it. And, we've done paint, we've messed around with the interior, we've rebuilt the engine 4 times and done a lot of stuff in between there. And it's a pretty good car, but it's hard to say if I'd get the value out, because also you have to realize, like, where you're going to sell the car. Are you going to sell it at Barrett Jackson, or are you going to try and sell a private party and here in wherever you're located? Here, I'm in Tucson here, but I mean, if you sell a private party out of your garage, you're probably not going to maximize your dollar on a car like that. You're probably just not. If you can find the right audience, it's a really choice car. You can take it to an auction like Barrett Jackson. You can do it. You'll probably make good money. but you're also going to pay between 20 and 40% of a commission fee for doing those different types of sale. Now, it might still definitely be worth it. I could have swore I saw a T-Bird like Ghost sell for 100 grand on Barrett Jackson. I'm pretty sure I saw that because I remember it left a mark of wow, like you have the right audience, the right person wants to buy your car, and it makes all the difference. Exposure when you're selling is like everything with cars. And although I don't want to sell cars, I have sold a car in my life, but that's not where I want to be spending my time. If I was a guy that was wanting to do that, then that's something that I would really take in consideration. If I was just flipping cars, I don't know that I'd pick a T-Bird. They're not a popular car like a Cuda or a Camaro or a Mustang. They are a car that have almost like a cultish following. Like we are a select group of people that like these cars. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think they're ugly. I think they're fantastic. I think they're tough and cool and awesome cruisers. I love them, love them. But that's just something you got to think about. What I like doesn't matter if I'm selling. It's what everyone else likes. As far as restoring a car, some of the things you got to really think about is how far gone is the body. If a body is like to the point where it's collapsing on itself, it's rusted out, you can see through the sheet metal, those are things that you really got to stop and consider and be like, like, do I want to deal with that? Or is it even worth saving? Like sometimes you can't save it. If the structure of a car is too compromised, that would be a reason I would not restore a car and I would part it out. There's a couple things that you got to think about even with parting a car. Sometimes even parting a car out, it might be harder than you think to make the money. Some of these cars, like in Arizona, if they sit out too long, the interiors get clapped out, the steering wheel gets clapped out. If you got the chrome that survives, that's usually good. Original glass, that's usually pretty good. Door mechanisms, usually pretty good. Stuff like that. There are a lot of things that do get saved, but we also have pack rats out here. And if a car's sitting out in the dirt or in the desert or in the side of your house or in the, somewhere where a pack rat can get to it, that car is gone, So you really got to look at what's savable, and saving a T-Bird for sheet metal. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. I think it'd take a long time to get my money back if that was the goal. If the goal was just to make money, I think it'd take a while to do that because they are a common car. Again, not as rare Cuda, not a rare 67 Mustang fastback, or I know that's not extremely rare, but they were they bring a lot of money. They're a very popular car. Whether you like them or not, that's the way it is. Like I'm a Ford guy. I still recognize that Chevy, Camaros, and different cars like they bring a lot of money. I do like most classic cars though, to be fair. So that's something else to think about. Parts, I have right here the Bird's Nest catalog, and I could go through and find almost everything I need to rebuild a car. Okay. So if I was looking for parts and I was trying to get a price list, not a bad way to go. You can get those for free, and they don't really cost anything. If I was going to spec out a car, I'd probably start something like that. I know there's Larry's Thunderbird too. You guys know I love the Bird's Nest. But everything you could need for the car, you could sit there and like spend a lot of time figuring out if you're going to restore a car. This might be a good option if you're going to, like, you already own the car, like say it's your dad's old car or something, you already had it and you're trying to think like, what do I need to put this car back together? That might be a good route. You can spend the time, you're no rush, you don't have like, a lot of times if someone puts a car for sale, you don't have a ton of time to be like extremely analytical to figure out what it needs. Or, who knows if someone's going to give you that kind of exposure to look at the car that long to figure all that out. That could be hard. But one of the things I can tell you is a lot of the stuff on these cars are not that bad to get, really. It just gets some of them, you sit there and scratch your head and like, why does it have to be that expensive? Like, does it have to be that expensive? I don't think it should be, but whatever. I mean, it's supply and demand. It makes sense. But, like the steering wheels drive me a little nuts. I feel like those are extremely hard to deal with. And maybe it's just because I haven't dealt with mine yet. Dashes seem not that hard to get, to be honest. Like if you're patient, I see them on Facebook Marketplace and these different Thunderbird groups all the time. So other thing, if you're going to buy and sell T-Bird parts, I would say use the groups on Facebook. There's a lot of exposure with these groups on Facebook. And then also, if you're trying to find stuff, a lot of the groups on Facebook, you can find most of the parts. And a lot of these guys have original parts that they're selling. And there's been a few guys, I know there's a few of you guys on YouTube that I've been watching that are parting out cars. One's getting cut up. I saw that on a video the other day. And, if it saves another T-Bird and that car's already gone, I say more power to you. It would be sad if someone took a survivor car with low miles and hacked it all up. That would be sad. But you'd probably make good money on it. I mean, if all the parts were in really good shape, I could see, ironically, you might make more money parting out a really good car than selling it as it is. That is possible. And that's what's so funny about classic cars. If you need a part, people are going to be willing to pay it. And original parts, you can only get that once. The repop stuff, like some stuff doesn't matter, but I got a box of a part for those tail blinker indicators for my fenders, and it's original in the box, and it's really cool. Something I got a while back, and it's so cool because it's still in the original box and it's brand new from 1964. Rad. Like you can't get that. You can get replacement, repop stuff, but there's something to that too. You know what I mean? So give me your guys' opinion on this. I'd love to chat more about it. I know, especially these old cars, like a T-Bird, not terribly high price point. You can get them for a pretty decent price. You can restore them for a pretty decent price. And my opinion is it's a great car for a classic car, for a hobby, for a teenager, for a first car, for a guy that had one. I had one as my first car, just like this one. It's a blue 65. So there's a lot of big advantages to picking a T-Bird for a classic car. And they're good. They hold up with traffic. They keep up with traffic. You can drive it as a daily. I would suggest look at AC cars. Because once you buy that classic car, putting AC on later, like mine doesn't have AC, I'll probably never do it. Probably never do it. And if I did it again, that would be the only thing I'd probably look for harder was to get AC. I fell in love with Ghost. And so I paid certain things came with that. Like it didn't have AC. So if I want to put AC in it, great, but doesn't need it. Probably because I'm in Arizona and I'm a goofball driving it when it's toasty hot. If I drive it when it's toasty hot, that's the sacrifice to take. I don't really want to put AC and raw power out of it. That's just the way I think about it. So tell me what you guys think, where you're finding parts, where you're doing different things. Here we've got a few junkyards in Arizona. There's one in Casa Grande. There's a bunch on the south side of Tucson. And so let me know where you guys getting it. And if you're not in Tucson, where are you finding your parts? That's what I would love to know. All right, guys, this is Nick Vice with the Vice Garage Auto Block. This is a talker episode, but just kind of a little talking thing to see what's out there. What are you guys doing? I do have some stuff coming up with the T-Bird. I've been driving it. Our beautiful little princess had her quinceañera. And so I ended up taking her in the T-Bird, which was cool. It was a huge fan favorite. And I actually was able to get a lot of people love seeing it. And it was really awesome. It was really awesome to see how many people appreciate that car. So as always, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. Vice Garage Auto Blog, I'm out.
Settle down.